What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about a little Last of Us 3 rumor that I think is actually kind of just funny because it really comes off the back of Neil Druckmann, and we talked about this in a video a couple days ago, right? Talking about how there might not be a Last of Us Part 3. Now, when I covered that, made that video, I talked about that I just don't think that's true. I don't think he's saying it in a malicious way, but you look back at the history of Neil Druckmann lying or Naughty Dog lying, and gaming companies lie for a living. They lie to protect their secrets. They lie to keep people interested and to kind of build up speculation and anticipation. So when something happens, there's a reaction to it. So I just don't think it was ever true that there is no Last of Us 3 or that they were going to stop after 2. There might have been at some point, like way in the past, but he's talked about the third game that he has a story. We talked about this entire thing. Now, another reason why I always believed 3 is there were a couple different insiders, not even just Daniel RPK that we're about to talk about in this video, but there's been a couple different insiders that have said, yeah, they're making it. They're cast for it, they've filmed it, or they're going to film it. There's been several of that stuff for the last year or so. Well, it was funny because I was just scrolling through X or scrolling through Twitter, and I saw this post from Dom the Bomb. So Naughty Dog is reportedly already in advanced production on The Last of Us Part 3 and has cast actors / filmed some scenes via, again, Daniel RPK. Now, the thing with him, and I've talked about him before, he's a big movie insider, and he knows his stuff, and he generally, I would say he's like an 80-20 kind of guy. He does get stuff wrong, but for the most part, he's pretty on it. But I think because of the movie connections and all that kind of stuff, he's in the know with the cast type stuff. When people get cast for a certain project or whatever it might be, he really, I think that's how he just kind of connects the dots. So I imagine, and I think we've heard this before, whether it was him or, we've heard it from other people as well, that they've cast, the roles of some characters, or they were doing casting of The Last of Us Part 3. So that was already something that was, previously talked about. And then you have this right now that they've probably already have the people cast. But then also, and I will say, this kind of moves us on to the only other thing I want to talk about in this video. One of the more interesting things is not necessarily that, okay, well, this could just immediately dismiss his lie, right? Or label it a lie that, okay, there is a Part 3 and they're filming it, but that's kind of the big thing to me, and that's the more surprising thing is all right, so they're filming it, they already got people, in it, and they've already done, some parts to the third game. Now, what I just find interesting about it is kind of the ability, and I didn't know if this was, the case with Naughty Dog, and I guess we don't fully know until they confirm it, but the ability to be able to do two of these things at once. They've been a studio for a while that's tried to do two things at once, but generally they're kind of a one-team studio. They tried to spread out, but they're at their best when they're just making one game. And you think about Intergalactic, and you think about even Neil Druckmann's purpose, or whatever, what he's doing with Intergalactic, right? That's their next game. That game is probably still 2 or so years away, and that's the next big thing from Naughty Dog, right? And they're waist deep, right? They're maybe up to their belly button in Intergalactic, and they're also doing The Last of Us Part 3. So it's not really a point to get too into what could happen with The Last of Us Part 3 or anything like that. But at the same time, it's well, could this game be 3 or 4 years away, and Intergalactic is 2, and The Last of Us Part 3 is a year or two after that? I wouldn't put it past them, and it actually sounds more like that than not. But also, it's kind of crazy, kind of something that wouldn't really be expected, because I think just from a casual point of view, you look at they're doing Intergalactic, and you say, okay, well, The Last of Us is 5, 6, 7 years away, because you got to finish Intergalactic and then start The Last of Us. It very much seems like they're trying to do parts of these games at the same time. So that, more than just dismissing what he said about Part 3, that would also be, I think, a pretty big kind of news piece to the story. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icons turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.